Greetings and welcome to the Spiritual Awareness Journey Program, Season 2, Episode 25. Thank you for joining us. We are truly happy to see you here today at our virtual spiritual talk platform, where the practical applications of all things spiritual in our daily living is shared and discussed by experienced speakers from all walks of life, as well as by our special guests who are realized souls called Mahatmas. This program is brought to you by the Manav Dharam YouTube channel. I am your host, Supriya Koirala, and we wish to extend our warmest welcome to you, connecting with us from all around the globe to spend this precious moment with us as we address this episode's topic, empathy. As humans, our two major needs are one, the need to belong, and second, the need to be loved. And empathy is what we thrive on. Nurtured, children flourish when cared for, tended, guided, and protected. This builds a strong sense of self worth, self esteem, and self love. While we explore the world in this life journey, we unknowingly store all our life events and experiences in our subconscious mind. These accumulated experiences unconsciously build up coping mechanisms that help us navigate our lives. Almost functioning on an autopilot, these coping mechanisms over time become habits that we navigate life by. We draw from these stored memories when we encounter similar situations, be it pleasant or unpleasant. And as an empathetic person, one also understands and shares the feelings of others and very often puts others' needs before their own. This often creates hypersensitivity to people and places, and through many challenges, trials, and tribulations, especially traumatic ones, the empath becomes overwhelmed and burdened, suffering from anxiety, mental issues, and depression. But there is good news too. Through the heart and mind coherence, new sciences are beginning to understand and recognize the functioning of the whole person and its ability to harmonize emotions and thoughts. By the practice of self regulation through positive thoughts, feelings, emotions, beliefs, focus, and breath work, one can learn to transmute the emotional memories held in the heart and subconscious mind. We can learn to start harmonizing this neural network, which can relieve stress with the potential to heal. Spiritually, many scriptures share stories of despondent and desperate moments, and as true believers, devotees, having received the spiritual knowledge imparted by the living enlightened spiritual master of the time, along with the devoted meditation, do their duty and overcome these debilitating emotions to become victorious. And today, our expert panel, Mrs. Pooja Shroff Thoria from USA and Mahatma Suvidya Baiji from India, will expound on this intriguing topic, empathy, and share with us on how we can thrive. Receiving the spiritual knowledge, one learns to commune with the divine within, forging a direct communication and connection with one's own spirit, the original spiritual source itself, and we start one's own spiritual awareness journey. This spiritual practice connects us to our pure energy source, purifying our heart and mind, and we can achieve the highest state of consciousness and experience enlightenment. And as this one race, the human race, meditating, experiencing oneness, we will know that we are deeply loved, that we truly belong, and that we are never ever alone. Alive, thriving, and living in a spiritually enlightened world, we will experience the heaven while living on earth. The Spiritual Awareness Journey also wishes to announce that our 45-minute program will be recorded and will be available on Manav Dharam YouTube channel with subtitles afterwards. Our Q&A session will be at the end of the presentation of both our speakers. The The chat box will be opened only for your questions about this topic to the speakers. Thank you so much in advance for your questions. We are truly delighted to introduce our first speaker of the day. Honoring us once more with her well-expressed presentation, our young mental health counselor, Mrs. Pooja Shroff Thoria. Mrs. Pooja Shroff Thoria was born and raised in the USA. She's a licensed professional counselor and has been working in the field of mental health counseling for the past 10 years. Apart from work, Pooja is also actively involved in the Indian community to remain connected to her Indian heritage. Along with psychology and engagement in the community, she has had a keen interest in spirituality from a young age. She's grateful to her family and spiritual mentors for the continuous guidance, support, and love. Here now, Mrs. Pooja Shroff Thoria.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Supriya ji. Hello, greetings, my fellow spiritual aspirants. My name is Pooja. I feel honored to be here again on Spiritual Awareness Journey and to be given this opportunity to talk about empathy. It's an enormous topic, and I'll try to do my best to simplify the concept from various angles. By sharing with you my personal and professional experiences, I'll also address the benefits of empathy as well as the downsides. Lastly, I'll also explore empathy as a spiritual practice and how it can be cultivated. Let's begin by understanding the concept of empathy. Brené Brown wonderfully defines it as empathy is simply listening, holding space, withholding judgment, emotionally connecting, and communicating the incredibly healing message of "you're not alone," end quote. There are three types of empathy people may experience or express. Number one, affect empathy, which involves the ability to understand another person's emotions and respond appropriately. Number two, somatic empathy, which involves a physical reaction in response to what someone else is experiencing, such as if you see someone crying, it may also bring you to tears. Number three, cognitive empathy, which involves being able to understand another person's mental state and what they may be thinking in response to the situation. Empathy not only helps us to relate with people, but also fictional characters in storybooks, TV shows, and movies. When we're able to relate to a character, it brings that character alive and engrosses us into that story. The ability to express empathy is like walking a mile in another's shoes. It's often easier to empathize with someone who is going through something that you've already experienced. For example, loss. I'm sure we've all suffered a loss or losses in our life at some point. Even though your loss may be very different than mine, I can empathize with you because I have experienced a range of emotions that can arise from that loss. From feeling a sense of shock, void, loneliness, or even anger and regret. People usually become more empathic after facing hardship and pain. Can you reflect on a time in your life when you felt empathic towards someone, or when someone empathized with you? It probably gave you a sense of community and belongingness, and maybe even empowered you. I'll share with you my most recent experience. I became a mother about 7 months ago to a beautiful baby boy, and he has been the greatest blessing in my life. People generally talk about the glamorous aspects of motherhood, which may give us misconception of what to really expect. However, not many people tell us all the ugly parts of pregnancy, labor, delivery, and the recovery process. And yes, everyone's experience is unique. But no matter how many informational videos you watch or read or listen to the advice and experiences of others, you can never be fully prepared for motherhood. They say becoming a mother brings out fears and insecurities in you you never knew you had. I recall those weeks following a traumatic labor and delivery experience as some of the most challenging, scariest, and anxiety-provoking days of my life. It was definitely the most vulnerable I've ever felt, and even sharing this with you today, it's putting me in a very vulnerable position. One moment, you're anxiously awaiting for that bundle of joy to arrive, and upon their arrival, your entire world changes. I remember those sleepless nights coping with pain from surgery, trying to take care of myself, all the while learning to take care of this tiny human being who was completely dependent on me. I was in dire need of rest, but what helped me more than anything, was to feel understood, supported, and to be given the space to process the raw emotions I was coping with. My dear family and friends helped to normalize those feelings and reassured me, you're not alone. I began connecting more with other ladies in my family and social circle who had newly become mothers or had young children themselves. We shared our experiences and empowered one another that it's going to be all right, that we were being the best mothers to our little ones. My experience also helped me to empathize with other mothers and mothers to be. As challenging it is, it's truly been a humbling experience. I have relied on my support system and my faith for strength and courage. This reminds me of a beautiful quote by the American actress Meryl Streep. She said, "The great gift of human beings is that we have the power of empathy." In my profession as a mental health counselor, empathy is an integral part of building therapeutic alliance with my clients. It also requires for me to understand my client's feelings, situation, and perspective through active listening without judgment. The strength of rapport between me and my client is probably the single best indicator of treatment outcomes. Like many other relationships, therapeutic alliance also requires time, patience, trust, open and honest communication, and most importantly, empathy, for the client to feel heard and understood. I have found in my work and personal life that empathy is truly uplifting and promotes healing. When you feel connected, that love just flows and uplifts your spirit. As I've learned that oftentimes all people need is an empathetic ear to listen to them and compassion to heal them. When I first started my career as a counselor about 10 years ago, I was fresh out of grad school with only 1 year of clinical experience from my internship. I was often questioned by my clients and the parents of my young clients. How can you help us when you're not a parent yourself? Or clients would often question my relationship advice as I wasn't married at the time. I would simply explain to them that it is nearly impossible to experience everything everyone is experiencing in the world, but emotions are universal. And if they allow me to understand them, I can help them. I will be honest though, as my job requires constant empathy, it can be highly emotionally draining and can lead to compassion fatigue at times. I'm sure many of you may be able to relate with this, whether you're in the healthcare field or taking care of a friend or a family member. We pour our hearts out to help, even when our efforts are going fruitless, yet we want to keep helping. It can become overwhelming and lead to burnout. My supervisor helped me understand early in my career that even as a counselor, I have to accept that I can't help everyone and that people have to be willing to help themselves first. She helped me to separate from taking on the role as a sufferer to being a caregiver while empathizing. Through my work, I've come to have renewed appreciation for empathy. I think we can all agree that everyone experiences some form of struggling or suffering, whether due to internal or external factors. But it's when we feel understood during those moments of suffering can we begin to heal. As I've been reflecting on this topic in conjunction to my job, I began to realize that so many more people now than ever have been seeking out therapy or some form of counseling. And that led me to ask, why is that? I've come to understand that therapy often becomes a safe space for people to come and connect and feel understood. But it also made me think, why only therapy? Why are people not able to find comfort within their support system? And I've been reading more about this topic, and I came to a conclusion that as a human race, we have distanced ourselves from what makes us humans at our core. Traits like empathy, compassion, and integrity are on a decline. People are feeling more isolated, which leads to mental anguish, anxiety, depression, and in severe cases, even suicide. This is a grave concern with our youth. They are yearning for belongingness and acceptance by their peers in society, while also trying to explore their identity and find their place in this vast world. During a time when our world is combating a pandemic and many other global threats, we would assume that it's now easier than ever to empathize with one another, as we are all coping with the negative effects of it. Yet, recent studies have found that people are less caring about one another and are becoming caring less and less. We're witnessing or experiencing more unrest and incivility. Roger Ebert said, "I believe empathy is the most essential quality of civilization." Science has also found that the empathy has a genetic component and promotes pro-social behaviors such as forgiveness, volunteering, and helping, which is essential for our survival. It also enables caretakers to bond with their infants, which also supports the infant's survival. Empathy is also a crucial part of emotional and social intelligence and has been found to reduce aggressive behavior. As I've been discussing all the upsides of empathy, I think it's also important to briefly discuss the dark side of empathy. Surprising, right? How can such a pro-social trait be negative? Because we live in a world of duality, everything has its positive and negative side. If empathy is used to exploit or manipulate someone's emotions, it can lead to cruelty and destruction. People that use empathy in this manner are referred to as dark empaths. There are many examples of them in our dark human history, and such personalities are cult leaders, tyrants, etc. As our world is becoming more digital, we are losing our ability to interact with one another in person, which truly requires the capacity to listen, understand, and feel. It's easier to fall prey to a dark empath as we're desperate to feel that belongingness and connection. Too often, our social media connections become a substitute for true human connections, but evidently they are not satisfying. We're all seeking to feel connected and to find joy in those connections, and that's not unintentional. Ways in which we disconnect from others is by rejecting others' feelings or by one-upping another's experience with our own. And when we do that, we take away that individual's right to feel or process that emotion. Because our brain finds shortcuts by categorizing and overgeneralizing people in subgroups, we allow our biases to interfere in connecting with others. We may be quick to judge and not fully listen to others in order to empathize. In all these examples, our ego governs the script. We have become egocentric and have concluded that my suffering is the greatest and disregard others. Perhaps this is why Plato said long ago, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." Let that resonate with you. If being kind is all it takes, that should be an achievable goal. How people treat others or regard others' feelings is usually a reflection of their own belief system and values instilled in them from a young age and through an accumulation of experiences. So what can we do to create more kindness and care in our communities? Dalai Lama said, "Only the development of compassion and understanding for others can bring us the tranquility and happiness we all seek. Compassion is born from empathy. Once we can understand and feel the emotions of others, only then the desire to help arises." Though empathy has a genetic component, it can also be learned. People are socialized by their families, friends, peers, communities, and society. We can extend empathic effort by exposing ourselves to different worldviews, taking interest in asking questions to truly understand and learn more about others' lives. We can promote better relationships with strangers. It also can promote better relationships with strangers because it has been shown to reduce bias and racism. Learning how to care for others is vital for our personal development and to create meaningful relationships. Taking it a step further, empathy is also a spiritual practice. Mahatma Gandhi stated, "I call him religious who understands the suffering of others." If I were to define empathy from a spiritual lens, it would be simply the ability to see and respect that the divinity that exists in me also exists in every being. That perception and belief itself would and should stop us from hurting others. It's the golden rule. Treat others as you would like others to treat you. Some form of this golden rule exists in every major world religion, because the basis of every religion in its simplest form is be a good human being. And what I mean by being a good human being is acting in a pro-social manner. This can be done naturally when we connect with our souls. I can personally assert that my own spiritual practice and lifestyle has made me more sensitive to the feelings and needs of others, and also more forgiving. It has helped me to relate and connect with different people from all different backgrounds, regardless of age, race, religion, etc. As spiritual beings, we all have empathy because traits like empathy, compassion, and love are qualities of the soul. Acquiring spiritual knowledge, which is the knowledge of the soul, helps us to become aware of our own true self. In other words, we become acquainted with the divinity that exists within us. Once we have connected with ourselves, connecting with others becomes effortless. We're all part of that cosmic energy that governs the universe. Rumi poetically explained, "You are not just a drop in the ocean, you are the entire drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in the drop, I mean. We're all created in the image of God, as the Bible eloquently asserted. As our spirits evolve, we're able to perceive that we're all interconnected. Then we'll come to understand and feel that inflicting pain onto others is equivalent to inflicting pain onto ourselves. And by sharing our happiness with others, it doubles because we're able to feel that happiness in others. I hope I've been able to connect and relate with you today by sharing some of my experiences. And I would also like to apologize if anything I shared may have been sensitive information or offended you. My intention was to only empower you and reinforce the power of empathy. I'll end with a quote by Mary Davis. "We can't heal the world today, but we can begin with the voice of compassion, a heart of love, and an act of kindness." Thank you again, Spiritual Awareness Journey, for this amazing opportunity and for being a platform where we can inspire one another. And thank you all for taking the time to listen to me today.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Pooja Shroff-Thoria, for your kind words. As you said, empathy is like walking a mile in someone else's shoes. It gives you a sense of belonging and a sense of being loved. Thank you so much. Also, thank you so much for sharing your own story so that we could really understand more about the topic. You also discussed both the benefits and downside of being empathetic. Only being compassionate and kind to others can help us understand each other and make this world a better place to live in. And our spiritual practices have an immense impact on generating these core values. Thank you so much, Mrs. Thoria, for your time. Also, a quick reminder before we move ahead that the chat box is open for your questions to our speakers on this topic, empathy. Moving forward, now we wish to present to you our special guest speaker of the day, Mahatma Suvidya Baiji. Mahatma Suvidya Baiji is an enlightened saint from Haridwar, India. She is a disciple of spiritual master Sri Satpalji Maharaj Ji, the spiritual head of Manav Dharam organization. She has successfully provided spiritual enlightenment for the past 2 decades in various parts of India, Kenya, South Africa, Canada, and Australia. Her mission is to uplift the soul of man by rendering spiritual discourses on the essence of all scriptures and teaching meditation and yoga to aspirants. It is a great privilege to be in the presence of Mahatma Suvidya Baiji today, as Baiji will share with us her deep and personal spiritual understanding and experiences of this very compelling topic, empathy. Without further ado, here now Mahatma Suvidya Baiji.
Greetings and welcome to Spiritual Awareness Journey, episode 25th. Thank you, Poojaji. It was a very insightful speech. Let me share a conversation between two friends. One friend was telling to another friend, "Look at that poor guy. He lost his family in the fire. Why don't you go and lift him up?" Jesse went by that guy to empathize. "Hey buddy, look, I know how exactly you feel because I have the same experience in the morning. I burnt my toast. I burnt my bread. Is it empathy? Not even close." So what exactly empathy means? Empathy derives from a Greek root word meaning infilling or feeling into. In Sanskrit, the word for empathy is sahanubhuti. Saha means together, anu means in sequence, and bhuti means happening or experience. So to experience together in sequence is sahanubhuti. Empathy is the recognition and understanding of the other's sufferings and feelings. In other words, we can say it is an ability to understand another person's situation from their point of view. If we look into human value system, respect, acceptance, consideration, appreciation, openness, love, and empathy are expected when we interact with one another for the better world. Empathy allows people to build social and spiritual base connection with one another where one can feel the pain and sufferings of others. In the present time, where the world is facing many dangers and difficulties, crises, war and conflict, social divisions, there is a dire need of empathy. Let's look into types of empathy. There are four kinds of empathy. Cognitive empathy is to put yourself in someone's shoes. It is to think about what others are feeling and why. Let's understand with an example. Once a mother with her son John went to visit her friend. Friend's son has a lovely yellow toy car. John liked the car so much that when he got the chance, he hid it and brought home. When John's mother saw and asked him, without getting angry, just imagine my son. If someone would have taken your toy, how will you feel? John got the lesson. He realized his mistake and returned the toy car. Now, the emotional empathy is when you feel physically along with the other person. Like when someone cried watching a sad scene in movie. Compassionate empathy is empathy in action. You not only feel the other's feeling, but spontaneously move to help them. You just get into the act of helping. Like when you see someone in need and offer that person some food or money. Spiritual empathy, which is also known as a collective or universal empathy. Since a human being is a spiritual being, having a human experience, it is beneficial for us to learn and practice empathy. And we find it rewarding when we get empathetic support or help when we are in need. The spiritual awareness journey platform is to make us aware about our spiritual existence. A person is a living being who has a soul. The soul takes a body form on the planet. So human being is a spiritual as well as a social being too. On the basis of a spiritual awareness, we all are interconnected through divine energy which hold all the creatures just as a thread grows through pearls in necklace. According to spirituality, when the individual who sees every soul as his soul and everyone's suffering as his suffering develop empathy within him. The different scriptures from the different religions talk about empathy thus far. Vedas proclaim Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Whole world is one family. Rig Veda says Om Sahano Bhunaktu Saviryam Karva Vahe. Let us move together in unison. Let us live in harmony, in community with each other. And Bible says, love thy neighbor as you love thyself. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, one who is able to see the presence of soul in all living being and see all living being in his soul never gets angry nor hates anyone in life. Spiritual empathy helps to arise from ego, narrow-mindedness, and self-centered state. And it allows us to interact with one another on the basis of human values such as respect, love, consideration, appreciation, acceptance, affection, and empathy. With this attitude, self-boundary melts away. Separateness between you and the other person fades away. By this, we can create negativity-free environment in the society. When we live empathetically, we can relate with our full experience of life at a level of consciousness, awareness of ourselves, awareness of others, and awareness of the greater universal intelligence of which we are integral part. Spiritual empathy is a high level of attunement in all aspects of our daily lives. An activity to be part of someone's suffering is treated as a duty to God. For the attitude of empathy, two things are required to develop within us. First, to understand the nature of suffering from which we wish to free others. And second, is loving kindness act to remove the suffering. For that, there is a need to cultivate the quality to listen attentively, to be in present moment, to be non-judgmental, kindness, and unconditional love. Now the question arises, which is the easiest way to develop it? Well, it can be easily done through self-realization and spiritual practice like meditation. With spiritual meditation, one can develop these skills effortlessly. Empathy creates the environment of love, brotherhood, goodwill, and harmony in the society. This attitude also benefits a lot to our personal well-being too. Empathetic person's non-judgmental attitude helps him to be free from negative emotions, which makes his mind stress-free and peaceful. And we all know how much important to have stress-free mind and peace in these current situations. If we see at a physical body level, stress-free mind and peace helps to strengthen our immunity, which ultimately leads to healthy life. And on a spiritual front, stress-free mind and peace are the core to control mind and based meditation practice. The fruits of this attitude are stillness in mind, purity in heart, and blissfulness in soul. Empathetic person realize one thing, that my happiness is your happiness and your sorrow is my sorrow, which creates universal collective awareness and responsible behavior. Let me share with you one of the best empathetic act of Mahatma Gandhi. Once Mahatma Gandhi visited a village. He reached out to a hut and surprisingly, individual would come only one at a time. And Gandhiji heard about that plight, that they are so poor. They have only one piece of cloth to cover their full body. They were sharing the one piece of cloth to come out. Gandhiji was hurt. And that day onwards, he wore only one cloth on his body. Empathy is the most important human quality. It improves our life as well as the lives around us. It liberates both individuals, the one in need and the one offering support, which has a positive impact on one's emotional being. How a common man's empathetic behavior have positive and loving effect on others. Let me share you another incident. A father and son were having their meal in the hotel restaurant. Everyone noticed that the son is very sad and quiet. After supper, father and son went to their hotel room. After a while, the father came down to reception. He talked to the manager. My son is suffering from cancer and having chemotherapy. He is going to lose his hairs, and to give him company, I am removing my hairs too. So my humble request to hotel staff that do not laugh or mock on us on baldness without hair. Next day, when father and son came down, they were so surprised and shocked that all the hotel staff along with manager had removed their hairs. They made baldness a style statement. From this, from both these examples, what we learn is being an empathetic is not always about giving something to other person, but it is also to make other person feel that we all belong together, no matter what limitations be. It helps us to show compassion to others, to our family, and even to strangers. It is a skill which can be developed through sharing and listening in a non-judgmental and a supportive environment. In Denmark, empathy is a skill which is compulsorily taught to students of age 6 to 16 via 1 hour class each week. The students are encouraged to share their problems. The rest of the group students and teacher collectively suggest possible solutions and support without being judgmental. We are social beings who have naturally evolved to care for each other. Empathy is a precious human quality. And to enhance this quality further, it is very important to spread spiritual awareness in the society. Spiritual knowledge and spiritual meditation are the main tools for awareness. In conclusion, I would love to share wonderful words of Morgan Harper. Let me hold the door for you. Let me hold the door for you. I may have never walked in your shoes, but I can see your souls are worn. Your strength is torn under the weight of a story I have never lived before. Let me hold the door for you. And all you have walked through, it is the least I can do. Let me hold the door for you. Let me hold the door for you. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Mahatma Suvidya Baiji, for your words of wisdom. Like you said, empathy is known as Sahanubhuti in Sanskrit. To experience togetherness is empathy. It is the understanding of others' suffering. You also talked about four kinds of empathy: cognitive, emotional, empathy in action, and spiritual empathy. Like you said, all the religion books have one message which says that the entire world is one family and that we should live in harmony with each other. Spiritual empathy allows us to embed core values of appreciation, kindness, compassion, etc., and helps us get rid of negative emotions. It is a high level of achievement in all aspects of life. It can be achieved through two ways. One is self realization, and the other is spiritual meditation. Being empathetic does not always mean giving something. It is a sense of togetherness and being there for each other. Thank you so much, Baiji. And as we have some time left, I'd also like to remind everyone that the chat box is open for questions on empathy from the audience for our speakers. And meanwhile, we will address few questions that have been received via email to Mahatma Suvidya Baiji. Baiji, the first question is, can you explain about the spiritual awareness you mentioned in your speech?
Yes, for sure. Awareness is the state of being conscious of something. And more specifically, it is the ability to directly know and perceive, feel, or to be cognizant of the events. Spiritual awareness is to realize our spiritual nature. We are in essence is so. Once we realize it, then we look at it, our life from different perspective. We are spiritual being and having human experience that we can realize in life. We can understand difference between the physical and spiritual aspect of the world. The nature of a physical thing is temporary, ever changing, and with limited potential. Whereas the soul is permanent, eternal, with infinite potential. Think about two people who went for shopping. One with the enough money in pocket, other with very little money in the pocket. Who will enjoy shopping? One who has enough money to spend. In the same way, one who realizes the infinite potential within will live happy, blissful, and contently. So, when we become aware about our true nature, all the illusion or falsehood about the world disperse. Spiritual awareness is to live a daily life with a constant awareness of a spiritual existence.
Thank you, Baiji, for your wonderful answer. And the second question we have is like, I really like example about the toast you mentioned in the beginning of your speech. And we kind of see this empathy every day in our society. So to cultivate a real empathy, which is the best way, the spiritual way or the social way?
Through social way, empathy can be taught as a social responsibility or as an essential human value. But the impact might not be long lasting. Or sometimes true essence of empathy may get missed in the act of a social responsibility. Somewhere it is an act from outside. But in spirituality, one can realize that empathy is inherent nature of human being. We all are connected with one divine energy and one family. Human values spring up from inside, which has long lasting impact. For them, empathy is as natural as they breathe. So spirituality is the right way for the to cultivate the empathy within ourselves.
Thank you so much, Baiji, for your insightful and thoughtful answers. As we're running short of time, therefore, now we would be ending the program. We've now reached the end of our program, and we would wish to thank you all for your questions. Our heartiest thank you to Mrs. Pooja Shroff Thoria and Mahatma Mahatma Suvidya Baiji for their time shared here with us and for their insightful speech. You can always reach out to them by sending us an email at spiritualawarenessjourney@gmail.com with your other questions. We would like to thank both our panel for such an insightful and informative program, expounding on this very important human capacity to place oneself in another's situation and express empathy. And thank you for also reminding us about the need to acquire the spiritual knowledge through which one can start one's own practical spiritual awareness journey and experience the true connectedness with oneself, others, the divine, and the creation, and understand that we are always tended and cared for and never alone. I wish to thank each one of you for your presence here today on this Spiritual Talk platform. Our next Spiritual Awareness Journey program will be held on Saturday, 5th of March 2022. Our episode 26th will be on the topic Actions by Attributes and Intentions. Life is the constant flow of energy and action, and we humans are blessed with the potential to bring awareness to each and every action taken, be it by body, mind, heart, or spirit. Our experience panel will elaborate on its complexities of taking actions and its power to uplift and prosper us through the attributes and our intentions. A must attend program, so please mark the date on your calendar. All our spiritual awareness journeys, previous episodes of season 1 and 2 are now available on our Manav Dharam YouTube channel, where you can enjoy the many other spiritual topics discussing the different spiritual aspects and practical application of spirituality in our daily lives. Feel free to drop us a note with your comments, and if you have any other questions for our guest, please email us at spiritualawarenessjourney@gmail.com. Do check out the email address in the chat box. Thank you all, especially our speakers, Mrs. Pooja Shroff Thoria and Mahatma Suvidya Baiji, for their wonderful sharing on this topic. Thank you all again for joining us today. This episode's video will be available with subtitles on Manav Dharam YouTube channel very soon, and feel free to post it on your social media page and share it with everyone. Thank you to our sponsor, Manav Dharam YouTube channel. Wishing you all a pleasant weekend. I am your host, Supriya Koirala. And from all of us on the spiritual awareness journey, wishing you a joyous day. Mark your calendar for our next episode 26 on 5th of March 2022. Topic Actions by Attributes and Intentions. Our best wishes. Thank you for joining us. See you soon.